The United States has been trying to overthrow the Venezuelan government for more than 20 years. They put a bounty on Maduro's head. It's all flagrantly vulgar, thuggish, and illegal.
But Professor, another issue that I want to talk to you about is, of course, what Trump has decided to do with Venezuela. What do you make of his moves? Is he starting another war? Because I was reading an editorial somewhere, and it called Trump's military moves bringing a howitzer to a knife fight. How do you see this?
The United States has been trying to overthrow the Venezuelan government for more than 20 years. It's engaged in a number of coup attempts, a number of covert operations. It started to try to overthrow Hugo Chávez, President Maduro's predecessor. It continued through the Maduro period. It has also involved really crushing sanctions that proved to be far more devastating, for example, than the sanctions on Russia, because Russia is a much more powerful country than Venezuela. But in the case of Venezuela, it led to a kind of economic collapse, which I think may literally be unparalleled in peacetime. The economy fell by well over 50% in terms of GDP. There's been a collapse of oil production, a collapse of living standards, mass outmigration. It did not topple the regime, as the U.S. said. A president in Latin America said to me that at a dinner that he attended with President Trump during President Trump's first term, Trump spoke openly about asking the rest of the group, well, why doesn't the U.S. just invade Venezuela? So this goes back for quite a while, in fact. This is a more than 20-year project. With the CIA, with the military, with the White House. Marco Rubio, who was senator from Florida, has been the lead Senate opponent of Maduro. And so this is also part and parcel of ongoing U.S. policy. They put a bounty on Maduro's head. It's all flagrantly vulgar, thuggish, and illegal. And it is kind of the another example of America's delusion of hegemony. In this case, hegemony against a smaller power, not even a power, a smaller country in the Western Hemisphere.
So clearly, the reason which the U.S. gave is not how you see this, because the U.S. said this is to fight the drug cartels. You clearly see this as a regime change operation at this point in time.
It's been a regime change operation for more than 20 years. And there is one case after another. It's not even close. At one point, so absurdly, the United States actually announced unilaterally, well, Maduro's not president. We recognize the Speaker of the National Assembly, Juan Guaido. The U.S. just announced another person as president of Venezuela. Then they confiscated Venezuela's foreign reserves, froze them, and said, no, those are now under the control of the person we designated. This has nothing to do with drug cartel. This is pure, total, unequivocal regime change operation, period, full stop.
Yeah, just like there were no WMDs in Iraq, and that war was, of course, on WMDs. Having said that, Professor, what do you make of Venezuela's response? Because apparently Venezuela is also mobilizing its militia. Russia, China, Iran have all come out in support of Venezuela. So do you see this in any way turning into another full-fledged war? Because Russia, China, and Iran perhaps can see this for what it is, which is, like you said, a regime change operation.
God help us if another war is opened up. I can't predict. I don't put anything as an impossibility because the U.S. Deep state, meaning the CIA and other parts of the U.S. government, have been at this for a long time. They want to bring down this regime. They're determined to do so. It's the Western Hemisphere. They may take whatever action, whatever kind of coup they might try to organize. They might try to do it not by a war, but by other means, by fomenting unrest, by fomenting a military coup. They tried that in the past to break the Venezuelan military. It didn't work. But anything is possible because this is a long-standing operation. This isn't something new. This is something that goes back more than 20 years. In fact, it's almost a fixation. Let me put it that way. And when the U.S. gets fixated on something, especially in the Western Hemisphere, it's like a dog with a bone, as we say. You can't take it away, the bone away. And the U.S. has had sanctions on Cuba for more than 65 years. I mean, this is fixation. And they're fixated on bringing down the Venezuelan government. Maybe to take over its oil, maybe just to prove the point, maybe to show who's boss, but or maybe for some combination of those reasons. But this is a fixation.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले.
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.